All right, so we're going to be computing with scientific notation. This is continued, so just add it to your notes. This time we're adding and subtracting fractions. So there's a couple ways that we can deal with this. We'll start with an example. The U.S. population is currently 2.92 times 10 to the 8th. This is just in the United States. Every year we have about 4 million births and about 2.4 million deaths. Kind of sad to think that many people die, but that's pretty much what's accurate. So I want to know what's the population for next year. So how do I deal with this when I have numbers that are in scientific notation, some are in words here? How do I deal with this situation? So here's what we're going to do. There's multiple ways of thinking about this, but I think the best and easiest way for us to do it is to just change it into standard form. So our current population, if you think of this scientific notation in standard form, it's right here. 292 million people that are in the United States. It's a lot of people. If we think of 4 million, what does that look like? Well, 4 million is just like that. I'm going to add that to it. But then I have to subtract the deaths. That's 2,400,000 deaths. If I do that math, I can see here that if I add that here, 292 plus 4, it's 296. And then minus 296, you're going to take out another 2,400,000. So 296 minus the 294, and then take out another 400. So you can go ahead and do that, and we have this large number. That's 293,600,000 people. That's what we can expect our population to be next year. So what I want to do is change it back into scientific notation. So we go back, we say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I bring that back to the 8th, and I write that number just like that. So there are 3 steps to this method that I took. The first step I took was to change all the numbers into standard form. The second step I took was I added or subtracted. And then third step was to change it back into scientific notation. Let's watch those steps in action. So if I give you this example, I'm adding 2 scientific notation numbers together. I'm going to go step number 1, change each of them to standard form. So I do that. I do that by moving this one 4 spots. That's 68,900. This one I'm going to move 5 spots. That's 924,000. Step number 1 done. Step number 2 is add or subtract. So I go ahead and add as I normally would add. Okay, so I add those numbers together. I get that answer, 992,900. And then step 3 is to change it back into scientific notation. All right, let's go through those steps again. This time I have one that's in scientific and one that's not. So one scientific, one standard notation. So step number 1, change this one into standard notation. So I move it 8 times, 1, 2, and then 6 more zeros. That makes 8. That's 783, what is that? Million. Okay, minus 11,610,000. Step number 2 is just to go ahead and subtract it. So I went ahead and did that already. I put the bigger number up top, smaller number on the bottom, subtracted, had to do some borrowing, all that kind of stuff. And then I get this number. My last step, step number 3, is to change it back into scientific notation. Let's try that one more time. This last example, I'm going to do it in real time here. So, okay, first step, I want to change the one that's in scientific notation out of scientific notation. So remember, 2.3, I move it 4 spots. It's a larger number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Place my decimal and my 3 zeros. So this number is really 23,000. This one's already in standard form, so I'm going to go ahead and just rewrite it. And then I can subtract those things. If you can't see it as it is, you can line them up vertically. Put the larger number up top, smaller number on the bottom. Subtract, I get 1, 2, that's 12,000. So step 1, done. Step 2, I subtracted. Step 3 is just to now change this back into standard notation. I'm sorry, in scientific notation. So decimals here, I got to move it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So 1.2 times 10 to the 4th. And that's it. That's how you add or subtract with scientific notation.